Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs Credit Counseling Roundtable. I am Carrie Gruby-Liebarker, and I get to serve as the administrator and consumer advocate for our department. Happy to welcome you here today. And with me is Deborah Friday-Lockhart, our licensing supervisor, Curry Hawley, our licensing attorney, and Joni Green, our deputy chief investigator. And we are here to relay all sorts of information that we hope that you all find beneficial. It's been quite some time, I feel like, since I have gotten a chance to talk to the credit counseling licensees. And for those of you who have been around for a minute, like myself, you may recognize me. So it's good to see everyone that I haven't been able to cross paths with since I have changed duties, which has been almost like 15 years ago, it's craziness, but glad to have y'all here today. Before we start off, going to do some housekeeping items. First up, just a reminder that the presentation is not meant to serve as a substitute for reading any of the laws that we discuss or asking us for interpretations or guidance, just trying to give you an introduction and an overview of the applicable laws. The webinar today will be a 1-hour webinar. It is worth 1 hour of continuing education credit. All right, so here's our roadmap for what we're going to cover today. First, I'm going to give you all a little bit of an overview of who we are at the Department of Consumer Affairs, and then we're going to get an overview of the Credit Counseling Act, the renewal process, what we're seeing in compliance reviews and what we're doing as far as compliance reviews go for credit counseling at this time. And then a round robin, we're going to kind of cover a bunch of different topics, and then we'll have that hot topics open forum, again, reminding you to put your information into the chat box or Q&A box for stuff that you'd like for us to talk about during that time. All right, so here at the department, we are celebrating our 50th anniversary. The South Carolina Consumer Protection Code was passed in 1974, becoming effective January 1st, 1975. We have 48 full-time employees and 1 office location off Greystone Boulevard in Columbia, right by the zoo, if you're familiar with the area. We have over 120 statutes that we administer and enforce, plus the accompanying regulations. And of course, that includes Title 37, the Consumer Protection Code. We are governed by a commission. They're our policymaking body, and we have 5 different divisions. We have our Consumer Services Division, our Identity Theft Unit, our Advocacy Division, Legal Division, which is where the majority of those laws come into play, Public Information Division, and then Administration Division. But how do folks know who we are? Most of the times it's because we take complaints. If a business or an issue is regulated by another state or federal agency, we'll kick that complaint over to the proper person. If it's regulated by us, then the complaint will go to our legal division to see if a certain statute comes into play. And if the business or issue is not regulated by anybody, which occurs about 8 or 9 out of 10 times, we'll engage in a voluntary mediation process. I used to say that we get about 3,500 to 4,000 complaints annually, but that average has gone up since COVID to 5,000, and we're going to be close to 6,500 for this calendar year. Last year, we had almost 6,000. It was 5,800 and some change. But I think we've already reached the 5,800 mark, and we're getting about 500 to 600 complaints a month lately. So we're definitely going to be exceeding that. Consumers can also report a scam or report identity theft to our office. As far as scam goes, even if somebody's not a victim of a scam, we would like to get that report. We want to know how scammers are targeting our South Carolinians and what kind of techniques or tactics they're utilizing so that we can put it out through press releases or our educational information, our presentations and publications, so we can inform legislators on what's going on. So even if somebody's not a victim, we want to know what the fraudsters are up to. And then if somebody is a scam victim or an ID theft victim, we come alongside them, provide some guidance on how to mitigate that particular event. We also tell consumers to background a business before they hand over their hard-earned money. They can check whether or not folks have the proper license with our office. So we regulate 15 different industries, of course, credit counseling being one of them, mortgage brokers, pawnbrokers, athlete agents, preneed funeral contracts. It runs the gamut, but there's usually some kind of financial contract component to what we regulate. And so we ask folks to go online, make sure people have the right license. If we're not the proper licensing entity, we have lists to the South Carolina Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation and Secretary of State's office, some of the more popular places that also license different industries. We have the links on that website. You can also check fees that licensees are charging. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the presentation, but just like for y'all, there's a list of licensed credit counseling agencies on our website, so you can check to make sure you're there. And if you have a consumer that comes in and they talk about maybe going to a different one, you can check to make sure that they were licensed as well, and make sure you let us know if they weren't. Complaints can also be searched on our website. Just because somebody has a complaint doesn't necessarily mean we encourage a consumer not to do business with them, but we at least want to see how the complaint was responded to, how it was closed, and that, in fact, a business did respond to that complaint. Education is a core component of our mission. We want to make sure that businesses and consumers alike are aware of their rights and responsibilities under the laws. That is why we do so many presentations, including this one for businesses. And we do a Wednesday webinar every Wednesday on a consumer topic at 10:30. And it lasts 30 minutes to an hour. I think they just did Medicare open enrollment yesterday. If you miss any of them, we put them on YouTube. And we travel the state too. I was in Hilton Head on Tuesday talking to a computer club. I'm heading on Monday to Myrtle Beach to talk to some folks under the Community Action Partnership umbrella. So we will travel the state to make sure that people are aware. And even though we have 4 people in our Public Information and Education Division, about 27% of our staff presented last year. Everybody is a member of our Public Information and Education Division. And then lastly, we're here to answer questions. We have a live receptionist that takes about 25,000 calls every year. If we're not who can answer the question, we can easily, hopefully, get you to where you need to be without being transferred around too much. We also have a website full of information. We have over 50 publications. We have YouTube that has a lot of videos on it. We have consumer information and education just on our Scam Education page and other items as well. And we have publications that can be ordered, up to 50 copies of the more popular ones, including Ditch the Pitch, which is our guide for guarding against scams, and how to prevent identity theft. This is just some information on our office and how people get in touch with us and how it has grown over time. So in our last 5 fiscal years, which run from July 1 until June 30th, we've seen a 166% increase in the individuals who visit our website. These are unique visits. And as I mentioned, the 25,000 calls up front, that pretty much stays the same. So that hasn't gone down even with the increased traffic on our website. We've seen almost a 2,000% increase in our YouTube's hours watched. And I think part of that is because we do put our Wednesday webinars online. We put our business presentations online. And we're actually working on some new business education as well. In the near future, we'll let y'all know about too, to go on there. So trying to encourage people to watch those videos. We've seen a 55% increase in complaints filed, 76% increase in presentations given, and a 27% increase in applications and filings received. A lot of that is in the area of mortgage, but we've really seen it across the board in some other agencies too. So Curry and Deborah and the licensing folks have been very busy over the last 5 fiscal years. So to access the majority of services that I just spoke about, you can go to consumer.sc.gov, click on the How Do I tab, or if you want to learn more about the agency, click on About Us. And then specifically more information on the credit counseling, licensing requirements can be found under the Business Resources and Laws tab. You hover over it, go to licensing, and then click on credit counseling. All right, does anybody have questions? Let's see if there's any questions about who we are as an agency itself, ourselves. Trying to get the mouse over in the proper spot here. Oh, there we go. Okay, not seeing any. Perfect. Now I'm going to turn it over to Curry, our licensing attorney.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And again, welcome to our 2025 Roundtable. It is good to see you in a 2025 type of way again. All right, so let me get my mouse going. All right, here we go. So in South Carolina, our credit counseling is a tiered licensing system, is how we refer to it. So we've got credit counseling organization, then we've got locations, and then we've got credit counselors. During your renewals, you are going to have to verify the information at all 3 levels. Obviously, the credit counselors who are in an organization with the compliance department, you'll just be doing yourself. But for the organizations, they're going to be verifying all the information. All right, licensing. So the South Carolina Credit Counseling Act is found in Chapter 7 of Title 37 of the South Carolina Code of Laws. This was made effective on December 2nd, 2005, and applies to contracts and solicitations from that date forward. We'll get a little bit more into some statutory specifics in a minute. But a person may not engage in credit counseling services in South Carolina, whether or not the person has an office, facility, agent, or other physical presence in South Carolina, unless it is licensed, or he or she is licensed in South Carolina. One area we saw an uptick about 2 years ago, but so far not as much this year, is we received some initial applications for credit counseling organizations, but we do not receive an application for a credit counselor. Every credit counseling organization has to have a licensed credit counselor as well. So there has to be an individual application to go along with the company. Another thing we saw a little bit, not as much this year, are mortgage brokers wanting to do credit counseling. And there is an exemption for mortgage brokers under the statute, which we'll talk about in a minute, but that has to be incidental to the loan application process. If there's going to be a fee associated with that credit counseling, then you're going to need a credit counseling license. So, all right, let's look at the licensing requirements real quick here. So we've got the credit counseling organization. It means a person providing or offering to provide to consumers credit counseling services for a fee, compensation, or gain, or in the expectation thereof. A credit counselor means an employee or agent of a credit counseling organization engaging in credit counseling services. So, what is credit counseling? Well, there are 3 different areas of that referenced in our statute. So, credit counseling services can include receiving money from a consumer to distribute it among the consumer's creditors, and that is more commonly known as debt management plans. Improving or offering to improve a consumer's credit record, history, or rating, and that's also known as credit repair, credit improvement. And finally, negotiating to defer or reduce a consumer's obligations with respect to credit extended by others, and that is more commonly referred to as debt negotiation, debt settlement, foreclosure assistance. And so all of the activities fall into one of these 3 categories, and you select that when you submit your application. All right, continuing education requirements, why you are here today. In subsection 105 of the statute, you'll see the requirements. And so licensees must complete at least 12 hours of continuing education every 2 years. At least 6 of those hours have to be in a live instructional setting. Now, with the poll questions we're doing today, this qualifies as a live instructional setting. That's the whole value of the poll questions. We do have the credit counseling CPE reporting form. It is located on our credit counseling page, which Carrie just pointed out to you a few minutes ago. And who must complete the CPE? That's going to be owners and partners of the company, or a designee if it's a limited liability corporation or regular corporation, and counselors. All right, prohibitions. Most of these I assume you already know, but we're going to run through them anyway. No referral fees. And this is very broad, accepting directly or indirectly or offering to pay. So no offering of any cash, fee, gift, bonus, premiums, reward, or other compensation for someone making a referral for you. All right, you cannot ask a consumer to waive a right in your credit counseling contract. That includes the right to go to court. That's that right to sue. You can't require an arbitration agreement because then you're requiring them to give up their right to go to court. Choice of law, those items in your contract we're not going to allow because, again, that would be a waiver of a right. All right, fraudulent, deceptive, or misleading acts, including advertising. Operate another business at a licensed location without authorization from the department. It may be possible to do so, but you must get authorization from us. So you have to write us and ask if you can open that second business there. Okay, offer to sell any other product or service to a consumer who's enrolled in a DMP. And make loans to debtors. Now, that's not going to be confused with mortgage brokers also acting as credit counselors. So that's different. That's when the mortgage broker gets a license, they can, or if it's incidental to their license, they can help the consumer along. But that's different than making a loan to the debtor. We'll get back into that in a moment. Okay, so in 2016, we submitted and it was approved a regulation 28-700 in the South Carolina Code of Regulations. And this regulation accompanies the statute. It has the full weight of law. And it was approved by the General Assembly again on February 26, 2016. It adds detail to the statute and it's read again in conjunction with it. So the two main areas of change in that regulation were the fees that you can offer, or the fees that you can accept, and CPE. So let's look at that. So allowable fees. Credit counseling organizations may not impose or receive fees under more than one of the categories provided. That's, you can either get DMP, credit repair, or debt settlement, or debt negotiation. You can't do all three. If you are offering a couple of services and you're going to collect the fees for the primary service that you're offering that consumer. So for DMPs, the initial consultation fee, you can collect $60. For the plan setup fee, for that actual DMP setup, you can charge $50. Monthly maintenance fee, you can charge $10 per creditor, not to exceed 70. So if that consumer has 8 creditors, you cannot charge $80. You can only charge 70. And you can't charge 70 if there's only 3 creditors. It has to be $10 per creditor. Reinstatement fee, if they drop off but come back, $25. And this one has up to $10 allowable additional fee for a service fee for some types of, for like bank service fee. So, but you do need to run that by us before you charge that. All right, credit repair, initial consultation, you can charge $60. The monthly maintenance fee, $50, and a reinstatement fee, $25. Debt settlement, initial consultation fee, again, $60. Monthly maintenance fee, just like the DMP, it's going to be $10 per creditor, not to exceed 70. And then the reinstatement fee is $25. A couple other items that were in that regulation. You can now accept a fee for insufficient fund, an insufficient fund fee for consumers. So on the third dishonored payment made by a consumer, you can impose a $25 fee. The fee is limited to no more than 3 times in a 12-month period. So it's not every time after the third time, it's, you can get that fee. And then if there are others, then you can collect the fee again, possibly up to 3 times in a year. Okay, the addition of professional certification, organization certification. So it's going to be like if you have a CPA license or an attorney license, that's what these professional certifications, those are just a couple examples. So licensees who are certified by a professional certification organization may submit evidence of current certification along with the completed form, the completed CPE reporting form required by 105A, and to the department to satisfy your continuing professional education requirements. Which again, you're still going to have to submit your CPE reporting form. All right, annual report compilation. On or before April 15th of every year, organizations must file an annual report regarding the prior year's business conducted. And that is in subsection 15A of the statute. So right there, I have for 2024, I had the report on data coming soon. So by the end of this year, we should have the state of the credit report, which will have your information, the information we collected from you in that state of the credit report. Now, if you submit this after April 15th, hopefully you've never gotten one of those letters from us, but there is a $50 per day late fee. So if you're late even just a week, you're already at $350. So please get those in on time. And you can do that online in the licensure gateway now. So there's no excuses. You can just log in for the company administrator, log in and get that information in there, and make sure you do it well before April 15th, just so in case you forget. All right. Enforcement, I just threw this slide in there to just give you a little bit of basic information about what we've been seeing. In 2024, we received 5 complaints total against credit counselors, in 2025. So far this year, we've received 7 complaints, and a majority of them are for failure to provide promised services. And so penalties, if you are found violating the statute, penalties can include a cease and desist, license revocation, fines up to $5,000 per violation, civil liability to consumers, they can take you to court, and criminal charges. All right, so now Deborah is going to come up and she is going to walk you through the renewal process in the gateway. And I think.
Hello, this is Deborah Friday Lockett. Thank you, Carrie, and thank you, Curry, for giving us all that good information. It's actually renewal time again. Seems like the years are just going by super fast. Okay, so far we've had 12 licensees that have filed their renewal application and have already been approved. So go ahead and submit your application to avoid the rush. The renewal period starts September 1st and it ends December the 1st. But after December 31st, your certificate to operate as a credit counseling organization is expired. So go ahead and submit those to us. Our online license system, is called the Licensure Gateway, and our website is dcagateway.sc.gov. And like I said, we want to thank all of those who've already registered to use the online system. But if you have not registered, please take advantage of using it. We have been using the system now for about 5 years. Sometimes you're going to see information that's not required for credit counseling. The online system is used for 15 different programs that we regulate, like professional employee organizations, athlete agents, pawnbrokers, and so on. We do have administrator user guides and individual user guides that's on the department's website that you can contact us for a copy, or either it's like I said, it's on the department's website. Now, logging into the gateway for the first time. If you've never logged into the gateway, you would need to register. But if you've already registered to use the gateway, do not register again because it creates duplicate logins. So once you click register now, you're going to get a confirmation once you've gone through the complete application process. And then you would just simply click exit. And then you're all registered, you're all set to log into the Licensure Gateway with your created email and password. Now let's talk a little bit about becoming an organization administrator. What is an organization administrator? The organization administrator will be the person or persons at the credit counseling organization, and they will be responsible for processing initials, renewals, printing certificates, paying fees, making changes. But in order to become an administrator, you must submit to the department an administrator's request online. You will log in and you're going to see organization administration, or either up under user options, you're going to see organization administrator. So just click on organization administrator. Then you select the name of the organization you wish to represent. Now keep in mind, in this list are no DBA names, only corporate names. So select the business that you would be representing and be sure to select the correct business and the address is correct. So no DBA names will be in this list. Then you will get a pending admin request. You're going to see a pending admin request that's going to show up, and that lets you know that your admin request has been submitted. Now, no business information will be visible yet. The department will approve your admin request, but you may have to log back in later. If your request has not been approved within 24 hours or by the next business day, please contact the department. Let's go over the renewal process, a little bit of the renewal process, which has to be done annually. You're going to submit your renewal request within the gateway, dcagateway.sc.gov. You're going to go ahead on and log in using your email address and password. And I just can't stress this enough. Please do not create additional email addresses because you will not be able to log in. You can't have two email addresses to log into the system. Now, the following will be required to submit the renewal. You gotta have the employee's owner and officer's date of hire, their social security number, home address, telephone number, email address, and date of birth. You need the surety bond information or the letter of credit information. You're gonna have to have the registered agent's information. This will be the person who will accept legal documents for your organization. Now, let's stop just for a few seconds and go over what's on the home page. You're actually going to click on expiring soon. You see it in the red box there. You're going to click on expiring soon to proceed through the application. But to your left, you're going to see what user options is. It allows you to apply for a license to be an organization administrator, account profile. If you need to change your password or change your login credentials, please click on account profile. And then you can contact SCDCA information. It takes you straight to our website and gives you a wealth of information. Also, there's the log out. You'll be able to log out from this screen. Contact information. You see the registration number. There's a unique organization number. Okay, so you can look at the different topics on the left side and you'll be able to see exactly what's on this screen. Then you would click on the renewal application up under options. Next, the instructions will come up. You'll find the credit counseling definitions, credit report information, criminal background checks, which are not required during renewals. The 12 hours of CPE is due every other year. So you'll find all of the information that's needed to submit your application. But as of right now, you will continue to use the paper CPE reporting forms. Just email them to Stacy. I know a lot of you deal with Stacy with credit counseling. You email them to her, or you can send them to the email legal@scconsumer.gov. Then you will review the renewal application. Now, most of the information, we've made it really good for you. Most of this information will already be pre-populated for you, and it's going to make the process quick and easy. Now you come to the location screen. This screen allows you to add a new employee. You can add a new location. You can click on edit, and edit allows you to change information, but you must click on verify for each of the locations and each of the employees. You will not be able to proceed through the application unless you click on verify. Now, all the locations and employees have been verified. Then you would click next. I like to look at this screen and say, if everything on this screen is green, then green means go. That means that we are good to go. You answer all of the questions and then select next. If you answer yes to any question, you will have to put in an explanation. An explanation will be required. Then you're going to come to the verification page. Now, the verification page, you would read over the entire verification page. Make sure that your answers are correct. You can click on the green check marks and make changes. You see in the box to your left, the green check marks, you can make changes, or you can just go ahead on and click I agree and submit your application. But what happens if you submit your application and you still have you have an error, something you did wrong? Then you can just email us. You can email Stacy, or you can email the legal@scconsumer.gov. We can edit your application for you from our end, okay? So once you submit your application, paying online is quick and easy, and it's the best. It is the best if you make your payments online. You can just select pay online now and it takes you to a secure portal where you can make your payment. Now you still can mail checks or money orders, but those checks or money orders must be mailed to the department within 7 days. Now, once you've submitted that application, you're going to click here where the arrow is to get the status of your renewal. And then under current applications, click on the status to upload the required documents. Uploading is very important. That's what helps get your application process so quick. So why upload the required documents? It cuts down on the processing time. For one, there's no need for the department to send you out deficiency letters. When we have to send deficiency letters, that takes time away from approving applications. There's no need to mail supporting documents to the department. You can upload them. And then also it avoids late or lost mail. Sometimes mail get lost or comes in late. So just upload those documents. We do have a user guide that walks you straight through the process. We're going to touch on it briefly next. So you're going to click on plus upload to upload the required documents. PDF documents can be uploaded. So you see where it says the plus uploads with the arrow. Then you're going to click on there and you're going to upload the documents. Depending upon how you answer questions, whether or not documents will be required. But we always need to get your surety bond or letter of credit. Now, once the document is uploaded, you will see view files. More than one document can be uploaded at a time. So say if you have 2 standard debt management plans, yes, you can click on plus upload again and upload another plan. More than one can be uploaded. Now you're back on the home page. You're going to click on you can click on the organization's name to see a list of the counselors. So if you want to see your counselors that work for you. So now you see the list of counselors at the very bottom. You can also, if you at this point too, even though you can add an employee during the renewal, you can add an employee here also. And you can do this at any time. Anytime you want to add a counselor or employee, just click on add counselor employee, you can add them. Also, you can deactivate. You can still send us in the forms where you want to deactivate employees, but doing it online is quick and it's easy because we get notification, and once we get notification, we can approve that. So you've submitted your application. The organization will get an organization application approved email that we receive that email. Okay. And then once we approve it, you're also going to get an email saying that your application has now been approved. You can log into SCDCA Gateway and you can print your certificate. Now, here's your certificate. If you find any issues with your certificates, contact us right away. Make sure that the name is spelled right, because human error, you can make errors and names can be misspelled. Make sure the address is right, but also make sure the expiration date should be 12/31/2026. If that expiration date is anything other than that, contact us. And make sure you place this certificate in a conspicuous place, and also make sure that the certificate is signed by our administrator, Carrie Guri-Leibacher. Now we have that user guide, and that user guide covers all of these topics. All of these topics will help you as administrators to submit your application. Now let's talk a little briefly about the representatives, because not only do the organizations have to submit an application, the representatives have to submit an application also. So the Credit Counsel representative application. Before a Credit Counsel can file a renewal application, the Credit Counsel organization administrator should have submitted the renewal application in the licensure gateway. Okay, the Credit Counsel representative renewal process. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. We were saying that before a credit counselor can file a renewal application, the credit counselor organization administrator should have submitted a renewal application in the licensure gateway for you. This is for the counselors. Once the application is submitted by the organization administrator, the credit counselor representative, you will get an email informing them that they can go online and submit their renewal application. A credit counselor must register to use the licensure gateway too, if they haven't already. But please, please do not register again if you have already registered. So you would log into the licensure gateway and click on expiring soon. Click here to renew. And then under options, you would click on that renewal application. And then you would read over the instructions, give you all of the instructions before submitting your application. The credit counseling application fee is $40. You're going to answer all of the questions and then select next. You're going to get that same verification page that the administrators get. You're going to click on the checkbox if you need to make any changes. And then you're going to pay online. So I'm saying pay online, but you still have the option to mail your checks or money orders. But like we said, we want you to pay online. It gets it processed quicker. And then you would go back, and then you're going to be able to click on the status of your renewal application to see what's going on with it. And then click under current applications for the required documents. Now here, you need to upload your documents too, because that's what's taking us so long to get your process. Sometimes you call, my application isn't processed yet. We have not received the required documents. And then once you upload, you're going to see that view files. Now you are back on the home page. You will get an email. You will get an email, and that email will let you know that, hey, we got your application. We're working on it. And then once we approve it, which we hope is really quick, you're going to get that approval email. And it tells you to log in and print your certificate. And once again, you want to review your certificate. Make sure everything looks right. Make sure it's expiring the time that it needs to expire, which is 2026. Annual reports. And Curry already touched on this, but make sure that on or before April 15th now of every year, you need to submit your annual report on the prior year's business conducted. The annual report submitted in 2026 will be filed on business conducted in 2025. Every day that a report is late, it's $50, so submit it early. Coming soon, we're happy about this. We promised you that we would get the annual reports online. We got those online. And now we're going to focus on getting the continued professional education online also. So you'll be able to submit your CPE online. But for now, go ahead on and continue sending your CPE information to Stacy or email it to legal@scconsumer.gov. But we're excited about this. We got the applications ready. So if you have any information or anything you want to see during this process, please email us and let us know. We have just a few frequently asked questions. Are the credit counselors able to pay their fee online? Yes, they are. Can annual reports be filed online? Yes, we're super excited about that. Can CPE be filed online? Not yet. We just talked about that. And are we able to make address changes, name changes, relocation changes? Not yet. You're not able to do that. Please continue to send that update change form that's found on the department's website to us. And how many CPE credit hours will the webinars on the department's website give? A lot. We get that question a lot. The number of credit hours depends upon how long the webinar lasts. Okay, and how do I print my certificates? We went over that. That's in the user guide also. And are we able to have more than one administrator? Yes, you can have 2, 3 administrators, but they must be approved by the department. So upcoming webinars, today is the Credit Council Roundtable. We have more webinars coming. You can send an email to legal@scconsumer.gov to request a list of pre-recorded webinars available for CPE credits. Just a few reminders, file early. Go ahead and get your renewal already submitted to us so we can get it approved. And if you have any suggestions for webinars for 2026, topic suggestions, potential dates and times, please email it to us. Okay, well, thank you so much. So now I am going to turn it over to Jonah Green. She's our Deputy Chief Investigator who will talk to you regarding credit counseling organization compliance reviews. She has helpful information. Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Joni Green and I am the Deputy Chief Investigator here at the Department of Consumer Affairs. I've been here for about 19 years now and I am one of 6 investigators. For some of the older or more experienced credit counselors, y'all have not met us. We have just recently started doing compliance reviews. So this will be new information for a lot of you. We've been out to a few, but this will be new for kind of everybody. Right now we are doing kind of a limited compliance review for our credit counselors. We want to get out and meet everybody. We want y'all to meet us. We've got a lot of information from Curry and Deborah, but we had to learn it too. So we are starting off on kind of a limited basis for compliance reviews. We're getting a very like 50,000 foot view of the industry. So these first ones, as we get around and meet everyone, they will not be as in-depth as later future compliance reviews. And we'll get into that more, hopefully after we've been around and visited with everybody. Right now, James Breeden has been doing a lot of our like out-of-state compliance reviews. We do those virtually. We call them desk reviews. And then Robert Johnson has been the investigator that has been doing the reviews for our South Carolina locations. So we do have, in-state and out-of-state licensees. So for our in-state folks, we may show up at your business location. It may be announced or it could be unannounced. Sometimes we will call and make appointments. Sometimes we are just in your area and we have a chance to stop by and do a compliance review. So it could be unannounced. Neither is worse than the other. Don't be alarmed if we show up. It doesn't mean you're in trouble. It doesn't mean that we have a complaint or anything like that. It just means that we were in the area and we're just making good use of our time. For our out-of-state folks, we will have to do a virtual review. Probably you will get contacted through email with a phone call initially. And then we can set up really whatever works best for you. We can do Zoom meetings, we can do conference calls, we can do a Teams meeting, but whatever platform works best for you. We're pretty flexible for our licensees to talk to them. But we'll reach out first and let you know that we want to set up a time to talk to you. What is the point of the compliance reviews? We're coming out to make sure that the businesses are in compliance. We're going to look at the fees and the services offered. We're going to make sure that the forms that you're using are the ones that you're sending in during the renewal process. If we do have any kind of consumer complaints, or if you know of industry issues, if you've had issues, that's a good time for us to talk to you about those to help kind of rectify those. It says 4 reviews a year. That should say a month. We're not going to inundate and get around to everybody initially. We don't have enough people for that. And we also do compliance reviews of a lot of other industries. So right now, especially for the out-of-state folks, James will probably contact you and try to get 2 or 3 or 4 a month. We'll have a information request that we'll send out to you. We will pay a lot of attention to the fees being charged and the contract language. So those are just things to know that we'll be looking for. And we will, they're random. There's no rhyme or reason to who we go through. We don't start at A and work through Z. We try to kind of spread the love out, I guess, to everybody. So we'll be in different states. We do different size businesses. And then, there's just kind of luck of the draw of when we get around to you. But we will try to get through all of the companies first before we come back and do a second review. So when we contact you, we will have an information request. And these are the things that we're going to ask for you to provide copies of for us. We'll want a blank client agreement. We'll want a copy of your price list. We'll want to verify that you do have your current license and that it is posted somewhere. So that might be like during the Zoom meeting, you just show us the wall that it's posted on, or you can snap a picture. We're pretty flexible on that. We kind of work with you on that. And we also will ask for like advertising and marketing information. Again, we just want to see how you're getting your name out there to the public. And will become more in depth as we get more into it. But right now, this is kind of where we're starting. And we're not asking for executed client contracts yet. We're not asking for payment receipts and stuff yet, or a payment list from your consumers. But that is stuff that we'll probably get into more as we develop our review process. So just be aware that we will be asking for more stuff. And this is just kind of initially where we're starting. Just some general things that, we're going to look at. I already touched on the license being posted. The business is operating under the name that's specified on the license. You're not assigning them to other companies. The fees are in compliance with the state regs. So again, I know this is kind of quick, but I know there's a lot of information we're trying to get through today. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of the investigators. But just know that and we call them routine compliance reviews, but just anticipate that is something that you may have to deal with in the next 6, 8, 12 months. Make sure that you're using the forms that you're submitted to the department. That a lot of times when we start compliance reviews in new industries, that's one of the things we see is that, your admin folks that do your licensing, they have their pretty forms that they submit every year to the department for renewals. But then your folks that are actually doing the work, they have developed their own forms. So that is one thing that we will check for sure. And then also just keep in mind that these are going to be limited in scope initially, but they will be developing more as we go. So if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm available through email. It's jgreen@seconsumer.gov. If you have questions about compliance reviews, I'll be glad to answer them. And if you've already been contacted by James or Robert about a compliance review, if you have questions about something that they have already asked about, you can still reach out with that too. Okay, back to Carrie.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so we have a lot of information that we were trying to cover today, and we're running out of time. We are short on time. So I'm going to very briefly and swiftly go through some of these presentation slides. So first up, this is an excerpt from our 2025 State of Credit Report. But the data, because of when y'all submit your annual reports, is from 2023, the most recent data. We did see a 13% increase about, I think, in the money paid to creditors, and a huge, I think it was a 44% increase in the average amount of debt per customer that came in. But when you compare 2022 to 2023, and then I just want to make you aware of the fact that we have some state privacy laws in place. We do quarterly presentations on the privacy laws. They include records disposal requirements when you have records that have personal identifying information on them, as well as business and security breach notification requirements, to where you're supposed to notify our office, as well as the affected South Carolina residents, depending on certain circumstances. You always notify the affected resident. You only have to notify us if there's more than 1,000 residents involved. Our next presentation that goes deep into what South Carolina law requires is going to be in December. That's Identity Theft Awareness Month. We also have a publication that goes over the state laws. We're revising it. Hopefully we'll have those printed, the new ones for December, but this current one is available on our website. It still goes over the majority of the information that's relevant. And then we have our last kind of series for businesses that we started during Cybersecurity Month in October, today at 2:15. So the Safeguards Rule Update webinar is at 2:15. You can go to our website at consumer.sc.gov. Scroll down to the bottom of the page to the calendar and click on the FTC Safeguards Rule Update to register for that. You can get continuing education for that as well if you have not watched the Safeguards Rule Update webinar. during the current continuing education cycle. Again, this is one of the presentations that we offer quarterly. And then we have some other tips about how y'all become victims of scams, just like consumers do. So make sure that you have lots of training going on and that you are not sending sensitive information or money to folks whenever it's requested by email without doing verifications first. And then we always want y'all to get our information, our publications, get them out to the consumers that you serve, be aware of the resources that we have for consumers. You guys are an industry where you get to form a relationship with those consumers. It's more of a long-term contract. And a lot of them may come to you with debt from lenders that aren't licensed with our office or didn't file a maximum rate, so they shouldn't be charging over 18% on a particular debt. Or they may have gone to a business that's not licensed, another credit repair, credit counseling business that's not licensed. Or they could be victims of ID theft that they noticed during the process of you doing your budget analysis and reviewing at different things. So just be aware of us, refer them to us, check out all those resources I talked to you about at the beginning of the presentation, and utilize our office. All right, we appreciate y'all joining us on today's webinar. We'll hang on just another minute to see if anybody has any other questions, but otherwise feel free to disconnect, and we hope to see you on another Department of Consumer Affairs webinar in the near future. Thanks very much. So there's a question about people doing credit repair on Facebook. So it doesn't matter the method in which you're offering services or contracting with South Carolina consumers. If they have South Carolina customers, especially as customers, then they would need a license with our office. So if you're aware of any that may be out there that have South Carolina customers, you can certainly let Curry or Deborah know. If somebody's just soliciting generally and they're not targeting South Carolina consumers, that's a little bit more difficult for us to be able to track. So any information that you can provide, screenshots or anything of that nature is helpful. Yeah, especially if they show that they're South Carolina, like where their residence is. Yeah, that they're in South Carolina. Back in my day, when I was the licensing attorney with credit counseling, people weren't offering credit repair on Facebook. It was signs at the stoplight. Yeah, which that still happens. That still happens as well. That's right. Let's see, any other questions? We have some studious folks still hanging on. Let's see if we see anything else. All right, thank you all for joining us. We're gonna go ahead and wait, did something just pop up? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and end the webinar today. Again, thank you very much. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.